We've had a lot of reaction to the budget already this morning. And right now in studio live with us, PCMLA and finance critic Lauren Stone. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Marcy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here this morning. So your word, I think, for this budget was it was disappointing. Tell me why.
Yeah, I really think that the NDP missed the moment of today. It seems that this budget was completely unplanned for the economic realities that Manitobans and Manitoban businesses are facing today in the wake of not just U.S. Tariffs, but also Chinese tariffs as well. We are caught between two trade wars, and I think what Manitobans were looking for, and certainly what I was looking for today, was tax relief for Manitobans, tax relief for Manitoba businesses, not a year from now, but today. And the NDP missed the mark on that one.
They did vow to reduce payroll taxes. Not enough of a commitment, though?
Not until next year is what their commitment is, starting in 2026, whereas businesses, they're already starting to feel the impacts now with steel and aluminum tariffs, and who knows what's to come on April 2nd. Those businesses needed that relief now. I have been very outspoken on the phase-out and the elimination of the payroll tax altogether for businesses. This should have been done a year ago. This was the plan that the PCs had started to implement with phasing out the payroll tax for businesses, and the NDP chose not to do it last year. So they're 2 years late on phasing this out, and the businesses need that today, not a year from now.
Beyond just the business lens, although obviously it was the biggest thing in the budget, what else was missing in the budget, in your view, for Manitobans?
Tax relief. What we saw was the NDP is freezing the indexation of income tax brackets. So what we call that is bracket creep. And that's the exact opposite of what the NDP should be doing right now. They should be reducing income taxes on Manitobans, not increasing them to the tune of $82 million.
What did you think of the province saying they're getting rid of this EV rebate program, but only for Teslas and EVs manufactured in China?
Yeah, it's clearly symbolism over substance, and Manitobans need substance right now, and that's really not what we're seeing. I believe that Manitobans deserve to use their money the way that they wish, and it's not up for government to interfere in those purchasing decisions, especially when we don't really have a EV market here in Canada. I certainly encourage to buy local, but our options are very limited, which goes to a much bigger problem here in Canada about building up our own economy and our own manufacturing capabilities.
Part of the budget was focused on suggesting at least that it was going to do that, build up the province in the face of the tariffs coming from China and the States. Where did they not go far enough?
Yeah, so as I've already mentioned, we haven't seen that tax relief for businesses that businesses need right now and manufacturers need right now. The payroll tax threshold increases don't start until next year. Quite frankly, that takes small businesses off of the payroll tax in a year's time, but that doesn't actually impact a lot of the major manufacturers that we have here in this province that employ less than 100 people that are paying, upwards of $400,000, $500,000 in payroll tax a year.
How do we compare to other provinces in your view? Like when you look next door to Saskatchewan, because all premiers are facing the same, provinces rather, are facing the same issues with the tariffs are on, tariffs are off, counter tariffs, what's going on. Have you seen other measures, or would your party bring forth other measures? Should you, had you been in government, how would you have done it differently?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that I was disappointed in the most was the lack of a trade strategy for Manitoba. This is where we're seeing other provinces really take that opportunity to implement actionable items in terms of looking at different export markets, looking at reducing interprovincial trade barriers. And this budget really didn't capitalize on that. We've recently seen Premier Smith and Premier Moe out in Alberta and Saskatchewan really take advantage of significant investments in a trade strategy and a trade export strategy. And that did not happen here in Manitoba. We did not see any firm, actionable commitments to reducing interprovincial trade barriers here in Manitoba. And we are seeing other jurisdictions, including Premier Houston out east, actually put in legislation to commit to breaking down those interprovincial trade barriers. And we have not had that commitment from the province of Manitoba.
What did you like in the provincial budget?
Yeah, so a shout out to my colleague, the MLA for Roblin, Kathleen Cook. She's the health critic. And for over a year, she has been advocating for reducing the age of breast screening to 40. That was in the budget. It is because of her advocacy and working with the breast cancer community and survivors and various organizations that is even in the budget. And I commend her for that. I am slowly approaching that age range. Many of my friends and family members are, and I think it's important for early detection of breast cancer. So it's great for her that that's in the budget.
I mentioned in the introduction that the infrastructure, I mean, the NDP says they're going to boost spending on for example, 11 new schools. What would you say to people that might say it's worth sort of going into debt for that?
Yeah, well, what I would say is many of those announcements were actually previous announcements from the PC government. There's not a lot new in there. It's a lot of promises that have been made by the NDP, broken, made again, a lot of talk, not a lot of action. This seems to be a government that makes a lot of promises, but then has a challenge actually implementing those promises. So, these new schools, shovels could have been in the ground already 17 months ago, and they weren't. The NDP delayed them, and now costs have skyrocketed for a lot of those projects for building.
Appreciate having you in to talk about the budget, Lauren Stone. Come back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Marcy.
That's Lauren Stone, MLA for Midland and the finance critic for the Progressive Conservatives. Well, to this morning, lots of budget reaction. Budget in this province came down yesterday. And if you want to weigh in, you know where to reach us. We're on our listener line at 788-3205.